Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And tonight was 6 to Survive, episode 21, 6 competitors, 1 Ultima Luchados main event spot, and this was the only match the entire show. This was the show tonight, was 6 to Survive, and with shows like this, not really much to say, but it was quite a barn burner, quite a fun affair. I mean, Ashton, what'd you think of it?
This match was a lot of fun. John and I you and I were talking earlier, and I asked you if you thought this was a match of the year candidate, and we agree it's not, but we also agreed that if it would have just been those last moments with Pentagon and Fenix, and if it would have gotten more time than the 12 or 13 minutes it got, it would have had match of the year contendership written all over it.
Absolutely. The chemistry between those two was just astounding, really next level, a lot of fun. But yeah, just really missed the mark for me as a match of the year contender. And I mean, yeah, we're talking about it, so we might as well continue the discussion. I mean, again, when you have like a show that's just one match and that's it, the usual Lucha Underground TWitWoW format kind of goes out the window. I mean, I liked a lot of what this match accomplished, you know, the Ultima Luchados implications that it did have, some explicitly more, others, you know, more implicitly. I mean, you had the return, at least, you know, in the temple of Mil Muertes. He did have the stitched together mask still, and I guess the color context with like the crimson, like the bright blood red eyes, which is an amazing look for Mil. I'm actually going to go on record and say right now, that's my favorite look of Mil Muertes currently of the 3 that he's had. What about you?
Yeah, man, it was really crazy. Just the thing with the white irises is that it was harder to see them. Like it was hard to even tell that he had contacts in until the camera zoomed in, but now with these bright red eyes, you can easily tell.
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually, let me ask you, man, this way we get, you know, kind of a coherent, kind of like straightforward review here. I mean, walk me through some of your favorite moments from 6 to Survive tonight.
Honestly, most of my favorite moments involve Johnny Mundo and Taya.
They were, dude, the heel work from those two and the chemistry of those two as a unit was so on point tonight. I loved it. And really, can I say this too? And again, everybody knows Johnny Mundo's my guy for life, but I actually thought Taya was MVP tonight. I really loved what she did in this match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I really can't wait to see what she can do as a solo act, to be honest. Like, of course I love what she's doing with Mundo, and whenever they want to end that, I'm not going to protest one bit, but she's just such a great talent. Like, it really does leave that intrigue. What could she do if she was just pursuing her own motivations, you know, as a character? You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
What else, though? I mean, you loved what Taya and Mundo did. You love the teamwork. I certainly agree. Is there anything else that really stood out to you for this match?
It's weird because it was a really solid match, but it was, you know, I wouldn't, like, we've seen a better single show match or single match show earlier this season with Aztec Warfare 2.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. And here's the thing, right?
Like, it wasn't a bad match by any means because we both really enjoyed ourselves when we were watching it, but there just wasn't a ton coming out of it that was like, oh yeah, I'm going to remember that forever kind of thing.
Exactly. And here's the thing, and this isn't a knock against Lucha Underground, as I'll explain why in a moment, but it was a foregone conclusion going into it that Pentagon Jr. was going to win. Now, again, that's not a knock against them because I think this is an instance where predictability isn't a bad thing.
Right.
You know, because you have this really well-constructed narrative. Well, the champion Matanza, he broke Pentagon's back, and it's a story of retribution, so that works. But yeah, we went in, and in fact, and I was even like telling people when we were off on commercial and, you know, having those rest periods, like, oh, you must be so excited because Mundo's still in it. Not really. Like, it was still a really fun live reactions because we did our commentary stuff, and I love when you and I do that. But, like, I knew Pentagon was winning. However, in response to Mundo and people wondering how I thought about his booking, I mean, again, I love the teamwork with Taya, and I love, too, that they went out of their way to protect Mundo because he's been on such a ridiculous role lately in his career that it took two guys working together in Fenix and Pentagon to eliminate him, and Fenix formally got the pin, which I think works on a narrative level because Mundo robbed Fenix of the trio's titles, and now Fenix takes away Mundo's aspirations to main event Ultima Lucha Dos. So that certainly works on that level. So I think
that's true. Yeah, that is true.
And, when we talk about the women, and that was another thing, because I mentioned it to you in conversation, I'd be remiss not to talk about it on the podcast. I don't know if it was because he's a technico and he feels like he's standing on some principled ground, but if there was one point in this match that straight up annoyed me, if I'm really being honest, it was Phoenix's unwillingness to fight Ivelisse. Because she was really trying to egg him on. Like, she was kicking him, she was punching him, she was like, come on, come on. And when Phoenix was finally in a position to do it, he has her by the hair, looks like he's going to punch her, and he doesn't do it.
Yeah, there were two moments in this match that I kind of, wasn't a huge fan of it. Both of them actually did involve Phoenix. That was one of them. I think that was the first one, actually. The second one, though, I'm not really a huge fan of Taya hitting her finishing combination on Ivelisse and getting the pinfall off of that. And then she hits the exact same combination on Phoenix and no pin.
Right.
And she went for the pin right away. It's not like it was because, she waited a few seconds. No, it was the same timing.
Which, again, when we speak about things that work on a narrative level, I love that Taya eliminated Ivelisse because they had beef that was established like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just kind of think it would have made more sense if the pin... Or if here's the thing, there were basically two outs to avoid this issue. You could have not had her hit that combo on Phoenix at all, have her hit something completely different, and then he kicks out and it's fine, or just have the pin happen. I mean, Phoenix didn't end up winning the match, so it's okay that if he would have gotten eliminated earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I mean, I know that there wasn't their brothers' connection like with Phoenix and Pentagon, but I think that Mundo and Pentagon would have put on a better match than Pentagon and Phoenix did at the end if it would have come down to them at the end.
Oh, dude, I'm hoping season 3 we get Mundo versus Pentagon because we got a little taste of it at the Lucha Libre World Cup and we got a little taste of it tonight, but I want a full-blown one-on-one. I mean, hell, with those two guys, I would have no protest if they were the guys that main evented like an all night long too. Just like I want to see those guys go at it, just uninhibited. Nobody would just do their thing. We'd be remiss though because I wanted to bring this up because I felt like it was an amazing point that you made in live reactions, and I thought maybe this would be.
Man, this is why we do things together because I make these great points and I don't even think about them, but you catch them and you hang on to them. So I appreciate that.
Oh, dude, well, I mean, brilliance recognizes brilliance, you know what I'm saying? But seriously, though, you made this really great point. This may be our biggest talking point about this match because, again, there was no closing cinematic. This was it. You made a great point in the whole Pentagon-Phoenix skirmish when you said, wow, it's taken Pentagon this long to beat Phoenix. Matanza did it readily when the title was on the line in Aztec Warfare. Yeah. How is Pentagon going to be able to handle Matanza? And here's the thing, and again, that's not a knock against Lucha Underground, it's more like a challenge. I'm wondering if they're going to address that in the coming weeks, because right now, this Pentagon, as tough as he is, and he went pillar to post with 5 other guys, I don't know if this Pentagon could beat Matanza. I don't. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, since you were the one that, kind of asserted it in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, really, right now, if we would get Pentagon versus Matanza, I wouldn't believe Pentagon winning at all. I would have to put all my money into Matanza retaining. So I'm hoping that something happens between now and the time that we actually get that match to make it more believable that Pentagon might have a chance at winning.
Yeah, I mean, something's got to be done. And remember, though, and I want to keep...
I'm sorry for cutting you off. I just wanted to kind of add in, as it is right now, it kind of feels like a Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar situation,
It does, but see, here's where my question comes in, because the writers of Lucha Underground, I just think are next level. They're wonderful, and I trust them completely. They earned my trust completely in Season 1 with certain things I had worries about, and they showed me I had nothing to worry about. There is still, and I want to keep this at the forefront of everybody's mind, that scene from the trailer with the multiple Pentagons. We have not gotten that yet. And that has got to come. And now I'm wondering what the context is going to be, because him and Phoenix went a good, again, what did we say, like 13 minutes?
Around there, yeah.
Around there. And Pentagon got the W, but Matanza could have done it in half the time, if not less. Like, Pentagon is going to have to do something really special here, and I'm just wondering if that scene in the trailer, which is the only scene I think we haven't seen from it, because we've seen now Cisco, just in cuffs, the whole interrogation, we've seen all that.
Yep.
The multi-Pentagon scene is the only one left. What is the context to that scene? Because I look at this war that Fenix and Pentagon had, and I agree with you, dude. If the match was to happen next week, I would say, oh my God, Matanza's got it.
Yep.
Like, it took Pentagon.
But it
all
happens
this time.
on episode. I'm assuming it happens on episode 26, so we can't make that assumption yet.
Exactly. So you think between that missing trailer scene, the idea that we still have the next few weeks to get to the main event, because, like you said, even when Ultimate Lucha is underway, that match is the main event match, so you still have the breathing room for cinematics and other stuff.
Yep.
What's going to go down? Because I've even been saying, and I'm sure you remember this because I've said this on multiple TWitWoWs, and I'm sure our audience will remember this, that I truly believe that it's going to be more like a Pentagon 2.0 versus Matanza. Like, it's got to be a better Pentagon. It's got to be a new Pentagon in a way. And I don't think we got that Pentagon yet in this match. Like, he won, and it was a great outing, and he was tough, and he withstood a lot, but you're talking about, you're facing the man that broke your back and broke the announce table, I think, for the first time in Lucha Underground's history. Like, that's the power of Matanza.
Exactly. He broke your back by breaking the announce table for the first time ever.
And here's the thing, like, after Pentagon puts away Fenix with the, packaged pile driver and all that stuff, and you see Cueto and Matanza standing on the top of the stairs, and Pentagon makes a promise, I'm going to break all of your bones, Cueto, and I'm going to break all of your bones, Matanza, because I'm Pentagon Jr., I have zero fear. Like, it's a great promo. It's one that's perfectly in line with the Pentagon character. But as it stands, considering you just went through a grueling battle with 5 of Lucha Underground's bests, and it took you that long in a one-on-one scenario to get the final decision, those words kind of ring hollow at the moment. Like, you're really going to have to pack some serious heat for me to really, kind of impose believability onto those words, for me to kind of embrace those words as believable. So, it's going to be very interesting how they handle this in the coming weeks.
Yeah, man, this is an interesting scenario, and the thing is, like, all it would take is one cinematic where we see Vampiro sacrifice Pentagon to the Aztec gods, and instantly, okay, now we're buying into it.
Exactly, or maybe
they could even do that at the end of episode 25, leading into 26.
Exactly, or maybe Vampiro is the reason we see all of those Pentagons for whatever reason. Like, something big is going down here, because I can't imagine that they would look at that match, look at the first Pentagon and Matanza match, and then say, oh yeah, Pentagon's progressed enough where he's ready to beat Matanza this time around, because you and I both have mutually agreed here tonight that he can't do it yet. Yep. So I'm wondering what that final push is going to be. Outside of that, man, I'm just going to ask you straight up, do you have anything else you want to say about this match, narratively speaking, moments-wise, anything?
Oh man, I think I don't really feel like there's a lot to say. This was an entertaining match, but it accomplished one thing. We have somebody to go after Matanza at Ultima Lucha now.
Exactly. I mean, really.
I'm even trying to think. I do think that this might end up leading to an Ivelisse Fenix versus Mundo Taya tag team match.
Maybe.
Or maybe we just get 2 singles matches, Mundo Fenix and Taya Ivelisse.
I'd love Taya Ivelisse to have the ring to themselves at Ultima Lucha.
That would be great, yeah.
Because I think you have a match like that, and you have Black Lotus's debut. You really have the women representing strong in the temple, and speaking of which, you got to wonder what Sexy Star will do, and so many other people. And then for Mundo, I mean, I think you said this on a prior episode of TWitWoW, and I agreed with it then. I think with Mundo, Fenix is going to round up Aerostar and Drago, and it's going to be Mundo, Jack Evans, and PJ Black defending the trios titles against that team.
I agree. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, well, Mundo would be in that match too then, so that would make sense. And then we could just do Ivelisse versus Taya in a singles match. That would be
exactly.
Great. Yeah,
exactly. And then you'd also have on the same card, presumably, King Cuerno versus Mil Muertes.
Versus Mil, yeah, that's for sure.
Which I'll tell you what, that match could sneak up from behind and steal the show. I have high expectations for that match, believe it or not. I think they could do wonderful.
We
So
could
yeah, I mean,
do. Oh, here's one. Here we could do Sexy Star and Killshot versus Marty and Mariposa.
that's interesting. Yeah, kind of revisit that whole thing. That's the crazy thing about Lucha Underground, dude. They have such amazing talent. What about Cage? I mean, he was on an incredible roll up until
Yeah.
his failed cash in. You've got to do something with Cage.
The failed cash-in was just last week, though, wasn't it? Or was it the week before?
I feel like it was the week. It was the week before. It was the week
Yeah.
before because remember last week was the big tag to make Six to Survive tonight.
That's right. Yeah, it was the week before then. Yeah, so we haven't seen Cage in a couple weeks now. So I'm assuming we're either going to see him next week or the following week to get some kind of an Ultima Lucha match made.
Yeah,
Maybe even him and Chavo, since he and Chavo kind of had that match earlier. That was, I don't know, maybe I don't know. I'm telling you, man, it's starting to feel more and more like we need to have a second Gift of the Gods match. We need to hand out some medallions. We need to get another Gift of the Gods match going because there's still a lot of talent that matters that isn't really in a big time important feud right now that could warrant an Ultima Lucha match.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I think we definitely, but see, that's the intrigue, right? Because we know that there's this, well, quote unquote problem. See, for Lucha Underground, just like, oh no, it's a story had to be told with all of this amazing talent. Not yet even find themselves on the Ultima Lucha card because the thing is, with just this one match with Six to Survive tonight, we can have a lot of educated conjecture about the Ultima Luchadors card. Taya,
you know what I
Ivelisse,
just thought of, though?
Yeah.
If they wanted to work the medallions into Ultima Lucha, I mean, we're already talking about Taya versus Ivelisse. That could be for a medallion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We're talking about King Cuerno versus Mill. That could be for a medallion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there are matches that make sense that they could just have be for medallions, and then on Ultima Lucha Night 3, which is going to be the 2-hour special, that could be the 7-way.
There you go. They might go that route.
They might. I don't know. Because then, I mean, then you could hand out, say, just theoretically, you could hand out 3 medallions over the first 2 nights of Ultima Lucha, and then you would only need to hand out another 4 in the next 2 episodes leading up to Ultima Lucha, and that seems like a perfectly manageable situation to me.
I completely agree with you. I think that's a brilliant idea you've just put forward because I think that definitely handles your talent management issue of like how are we going to get all these people conceivably and
dude,
believably
it's so weird too. Like Lucha Underground has probably the best and simultaneously worst problem that you can have. They're so good at making every one of their characters mean something that it's gotten to the point now that there are too many characters that people care about, and like last season, the people that you really cared about would show up, and then it would be like 1, 2, maybe 3 at most weeks without them. Dude,
right.
We haven't seen Mariposa since No Mas, I don't think. Maybe one match.
Yeah, we haven't. You're right. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, though, is that like there are 4 or 5, and I think in Mariposa's case, it might even be 6 or more week breaks where we just don't see anybody. And I think that really, and I hate to even throw this out there because it's a huge issue that I think a lot of people are going to find controversial. It almost feels like Lucha Underground needs an extra 30 minutes every week.
Yeah,
I don't think they should go to a full 2 hours. I don't think they should go to a full 2 hours because that would feel superfluous. But if they go to 90 minutes, I don't know, man. It feels like if they would go to 90 minutes, those 6-week breaks would get condensed down to 4-week breaks, and it would feel more manageable.
I mean, you and I were talking about this in conversation, and I certainly feel like it would be beneficial because, and I gotta word this appropriately because I don't want to come off as an asshole, but I think a lot of people, right, have an interpretation of a talent stock, and that's probably because they've lost the thread of the narrative because it's been so long since it's been touched upon.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely, I think, an issue.
Well, I think that's just because of that mentality that we watch WWE with, where if somebody's getting TV time, that's a good thing because not everybody does.
Exactly.
Well, in Lucha Underground, everybody gets TV time, but the problem is they don't get a ton of TV time because there's only so much TV time to go around to this massive roster of important and relevant people.
Yeah, it's like a really long line at like a slide on a playground. Like the experience only lasts a few seconds, but that line could take forever. Yeah. That's pretty much Lucha Underground. Like
I feel like ideally you want like anywhere from like 25 to 30 relevant participants, contenders, performers, whatever you want to call it, per hour of TV time. And Lucha Underground has got to have at least 40 right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, I got to give them credit, in terms of the writing and everything. I think they've handled the problem very well, and I know you certainly agree. It's just, it's almost a problem of being too good at what you do.
Yeah.
Because the writing, I think, has been so above par, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's the thing, dude. Like, and there are even exceptions where the writing isn't necessarily, like you said, above par. I mean, we've had Tejano now for a full season and a half, and I still feel like he's never done anything interesting.
Right.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
had Daga. We've had Daga for about half a season now, and he's not in anything at all.
Right, except with whatever he's got going on with Cobra Moon, which is slowly getting developments.
But that, again, like you said, it's slowly getting developments, and there are actually people that are angry about the storyline. So I'm kind of, feeling eager to see what the payoff's going to be.
Oh, you and me both. You and me both. It's because the roster's so talented, and you only have an hour of television, and you've got so many storylines that you're pushing forward. I mean, we still got the big bad.
And I just got so close to pulling up a separate tab and Googling the Lucha Underground roster, but I don't want to get spoiled.
No, man, you got to resist the temptation.
I know, it's so difficult, but yeah, last season we had our Luchador Spotlight, and that ended up being 31 episodes. And within those 31 episodes, we had 3 at least episodes that covered more than one person.
Yeah.
We had the one that covered Dario and Matanza Cueto. We had the one that covered the undercard of Lucha Underground, which was Argenis, Mariachi Loco, help me out here, John, Famous B, and Vinny Massaro.
That's right.
I feel like we had another one that we covered more than one person in, but even if we didn't, that still adds up to like 36 people, and that was just season 1. Since then, we've added at least 8 to 10 more people, and pretty much everyone that got added this season has something going on and is relevant.
Yeah, so it's like the talent size increased, but the TV time remained the same.
And they're adding even more people for next season. I mean, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I think we've mentioned it before. We know that Sami Callihan is on the roster now. That's at least
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, holy shit. I actually forgot about that, but I'm glad you brought that up because it's not the biggest spoiler in the world. So then you figure, like, how do we do... It's not even really proper character development because, I mean, the writing, again, is on point.
Right. It's not even a matter of doing proper writing. It's a matter of being able to fit and enough people on a show and being able to have somebody appear on a frequent enough basis that they feel important.
Exactly. I mean, maybe if they can't go to an hour and a half right away, and maybe if things like that would take more of like a proof of concept.
Honestly, I hope that the rumor about season 3 being an hour and a half, I really hope that's true because that would be so ideal. And the crazy thing too is that season 3 is 39 episodes, just like season 1. So it's like we downsized, and now not only are we upsizing in season length, but potentially even the per episode thing too.
Yeah, I think an hour and a half is just that sweet spot.
Yeah, like it feels right, doesn't it? Because if they thinking about Lucha Underground going to 2 hours, it feels like it's too much, Like it feels like then we're getting into that like they're gonna start needing to fill time territory, and I don't like it when they feel like they need to fill time. I would rather they just be able to tell the stories they want to tell, and just have it be on TV at a reasonable rate. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And in the 60 minutes that we've been having this season, it feels like not enough. And I don't even mean in the sense that it leaves you wanting more, because obviously that's a good thing. I mean specifically that like we're getting to the point that we're seeing some of the biggest stars in Lucha Underground once a month.
Right.
Right. And that's, I don't think that that's a good thing necessarily. I think that you want to see people at least twice a month at the very least.
Especially since we live in a culture, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but we live in a culture, I think, where memory really is very short term. It's like an immediate consumption, then we move on to the next
Although,
thing.
John, I will say we've seen Johnny Mundo 3 weeks in a row now, at least.
Hey, brother, I ain't gonna complain.
Actually, I think it's 4 weeks in a row. 4 weeks in a row now, yeah, because this episode... We got 6 to Survive. Last week it was the 6-on-6 match. The week before that was the title defense, and the week before that was the title win.
He is just fucking killing it right now. I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it.
And hey, it's been a couple weeks since we saw Cage now, because he wasn't on last week, he wasn't on this week. So, I don't think that it's like a huge, cancerous kind of problem, but I definitely think that it needs to get fixed.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't think this is like, oh my god, if we don't address this, we're all gonna die. Somebody do something. But it's certainly, something, because again, and I say this with all the respect in the world, I think it's a turnoff to some people, not because the writing has diminished, because I think the writing just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, the
People,
writing is on point.
If you don't touch on the stories though often enough, people will lose the thread. I think the only reason guys like you and I haven't, and even me and you, I think we do forget about some details. So it's not that we're perfect. It's just we're so invested in the stories being told. And I don't know if other people will really, be inclined to follow the thread like you and I, because you and I, we go back. I mean, even tonight, we're going to go back and we're going to watch this episode. That's kind of our tradition. That's what we do. Most people, their consumption patterns, don't really mirror that. So I don't know. Maybe you're more prone to losing the thread. But I think, with an hour and a half and having these stories appear more frequently and the people in them more frequently, then people can follow along better and say, oh, it's not – the product sucks. I just either forgot this or now I understand this in a better context or whatever. So I definitely think it could help out a lot of their other problems that at least other people, feel like they have with the product.
Yeah, man.
So,
I don't know, man. We were talking about this big, the time the thing, but we, I think we pretty much said our piece on Six to Survive, right?
absolutely, absolutely. So, given that this was the only match, I mean, do we want to bother with high spots, low shots, or?
I mean, high spot, Pentagon, low shot, Cuerno. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, with that said, are there any closing remarks you want to make?
Next week's gonna be even better.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think so, because now we're really, it's the road. Pentagon, Matanza 2, Lucha Underground Championship, Ultima Lucha Dos. So there you go. But guys,
I mean, I'm gonna just go ahead and say this episode, and really because it was only one match, this match,
right.
It felt like a pit stop on the way to Ultima Lucha.
Oh yeah. But with the stories going on and everything, Ultima Lucha Dos, I'm really hoping I can keep my brain matter all together, because I really don't want to have to clean these walls again like I did after Ultima Lucha, the inaugural one.
Oh, so, brother, if they do the final minutes teasing storylines being built up for next season again, your brain and mine are both going to be on the wall.
Hey, it's a cozy place to be, I guess. It could always be worse. But hey, guys, with that said, that has been Lucha Underground. That has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what question do you have for our subscribers this week?
Do you think we're going to see Cage or Mariposa for the rest of this season?
Ooh, interesting question. So, Cage or Mariposa, will we see an appearance from either of those people?
Let's just pretend that's two separate questions. Question 1, will we see Mariposa for the rest of the season? Question 2, will we see Cage for the rest of the season?
Well, there you go, guys. Start the conversation down below in the comments. Talk to us. Be sure to take that conversation over to Pweetoff. That is Pro Wrestling is taking over Facebook, where the Lucha Underground fandom grows by the week. Also, be sure to check out the TWitWoW Facebook page. Like, share, and comment on the content there. If Facebook isn't your medium of choice, we also have a TWitWoW subreddit. On the TWitWoW subreddit, you can find all of our TWitWoW content, and members of the subreddit can create threads of their own on all things related to pro wrestling, and that includes Lucha Underground. However, for the best possible TWitWoW experience, I highly recommend you follow both of us on Twitter. I am at John_TWitWoW. Ashton is at apond404. That's the letter A, pond, the body of water, POND 404. By the way, John_TWitWoW is JOHN_TWitWoW. And we will see you again for our NXT review, where one has to wonder if Finn Balor can pick up the pieces after his loss to Samoa Joe at NXT TakeOver The End. You can get all your best coverage here at TWitWoW, and until then, guys, tune in and peace out.